take questions right away for Coach Gard?
Coach, Ethan Happ picked up the 2 quick fouls in the first half. Right away in the second half, you knew Marquette was probably going to try and come at him, maybe make him pick up his 3rd or 4th. Is there any particular thing you did to maybe shield him, prevent that from happening? Did you sort of change up your defensive shell, or was it just sort of they didn't go at him?
Well, I think they went at him at some point, but I think he also did a better job. Better position defense. He got better help. We were able to squeeze a little bit better, and he didn't foul. That was the thing that got him in trouble in the first half, that he committed some fouls early, obviously. But, it's a credit to our bench. Charlie Thomas, Khalil Iverson, Trice, specifically, obviously, Iverson and Thomas to be able to come in that first half and help. And we were probably going to have to shift the lineup to a smaller lineup anyway. Obviously, that forced the hand a little bit sooner than maybe I was planning to do it. But, and then credit to Ethan to sit there for 18 minutes and not worry about it, come back the second half and play a pretty good half in the second.
Greg, as it turns out, they scored more points in the second half than the first, but I'm guessing that stretch from the start of the second half when you built that lead, your defense was the key there.
Yeah, I think there was at one point in time I looked at the box. I'd have to go back through the media timeouts. They had 10 points through the first 12 minutes or 10 minutes. So defensively there, we were pretty good. Down the stretch, obviously you're playing with a lead. They're trying to score with the clock stopped, so there's a lot of different scenarios. We made several mistakes defensively that we'll have to get better at in terms of just simply stopping the ball on dribble penetration. And then they're trying to draw fouls and score with the clock stopped. And fortunately for us, that we were doing a good enough job offensively to take care of the ball to be able to melt the time off the clock. But I thought for that first 10, 12 minutes of the second half, we were pretty good. They were having a hard time getting looks, and we were very efficient. Our offense helped our defense. As you've heard me say many times, that we were pretty efficient offensively and were able to score at the rim, and that helped us a lot to set our defense.
Coach, you've seen this rivalry before, of course, on the bench, but this your first as a head coach. Talk about the difference in this rivalry as the head guy. A little louder, or just the difference?
Yeah, no, I don't think there's anything any different. You just appreciate. I've been asked that all week about it, having grown up in the state. What it means. I just appreciate both sides in terms of all the players. You look through the history of both programs, the players that have played here, the players that have played at Wisconsin, and appreciate that. The coaches that have been involved with it. I was 6 years old, I think, when Al was coaching here, and obviously Coach Ryan's history back to the 70s and through into the early 80s, and just the history of both programs, the players that have played in it. Just proud to be a part of it. It's great for the state. To be able to have this type of a game. I think it helps basketball in the state, and we'll just we treat it like any other game. We don't try to make anything different about it. It's an important game. It's a big game because it's the next game. Just so happens to be against a team that's located in your home state. But proud of our guys of how they played and how they handled it. And Steve's got a good team.
Greg, I think it's fair to say last year's game they won it because of what they did in the paint. You guys flipped the script this year. How much emphasis did you put on that?
Well, I think our identity is different than it was maybe a year ago at this time. We're older, we're more mature. We've been through a few things. We've had some battle scars last year and into this year, so that helped. And more so than looking back at last year's game or comparing that, it's how our identity has grown as a team and what makes us good. And that's what we talked about at halftime is let's get back to being just solid. Solid will lead to success. We don't have to do anything superhuman here. Let's get back to defending how we can defend and take good shots and see where that lands us. And as a result, obviously, that ended up with quite a bit of touches and plays at the rim in the paint.
Greg, speaking, going off of that, last year the guys were saying that it was early in the season when you played this game, didn't really have an identity. How would you say, you're kind of touching on it, but how would you say that the experience, the growth, all of the chemistry kind of helped in this game pull out the win?
Well, we've had a lot of time, together from the time that Coach Ryan retired last year and through that whole transition, and we've had to grow through some things. So I think we've matured. Guys understand their roles a little bit better. The year before, we had lost a lot of players off that Final Four team, and it took a while for us to really get our footing. So it's just been a process, and I think it's one thing that I've always tried to emphasize with our guys: is just trust the process. It'll eventually, the results will be a byproduct of doing things the right way every day, and that's what these guys do. They approach it the right way every day and treat every day for what it's worth, and don't waste opportunities. And hopefully, it continues to help as we grow, because we've got to get better. We have to be better on both ends of the floor as we go into get ready for the Big Ten season.
Greg, when you see the way your team played on both ends the first 10, 12 minutes of the second half, what kind of feeling do you get about your team, and how do you expand those stretches into something greater than, half of a half? So
Well,
to speak?
it's a double-edged sword from the standpoint of you see how consistent we can be, and when we are consistent, we're pretty effective. But you also see the times when we're not, how much more we have to grow and how much better we can get. And I think that's the biggest thing is consistency. We're just trying to play at an optimum level, as efficient as possible for as long as we can. And we do it very well in stretches. We're getting more consistent than we were a month ago, but we're not where we can be. And that's the exciting part, I think, about this group, is that they know that we can be a lot better yet. And we've improved, we're growing, we're getting better, but we're not where we need to be or can be coming down the road.
Marquette had just 1 assist in the second half. Obviously, your defense had something to do with that. But did you see them kind of getting away from the ball movement and the selfless play that kind of worked for them in the first half?
Well, I don't know if I only coach one team, so I don't try to overanalyze Steve's team. But, we just tried to stick to our principles defensively. I thought we did a better job in the second half for the most part of covering up threes. We made some mistakes in the first half, some miscommunications on one, lost Reinhardt in transition twice on 2 others, and we lunged for a pass on another one. So of the 5, that's 4 that I remember that I knew were our mistakes, and that's what we talked about at halftime. Hey, we need to look in the mirror. There's nothing that, and I referred to the solid comment. Just be solid, trust your fundamentals, and trust what we do every day, and those things will pay off for us. If we stick to our plan and defend according to our principles, we'll eventually be able to get things under control, and we're able to do that.
Sam Hauser has been one of their best players. Picked up a few fouls that kind of took him out of the games of points, but he finishes with 0 points in the game. Is there anything specifically you guys did to shut him down?
Well, we try to defend. I mean, Sam's a very good player. He's had a heck of a start to his freshman year. So there's going to be, having had freshmen, they go through ups and downs. Ethan Happ went through ups and downs last year. Dimitri Trice will go through ups and downs. It's the norm. But I thought we did a pretty good job for the most part of being aware of where he was, knowing when we needed to exchange and cover him up. So that's a credit to our players and how they understood the game plan and what we needed to take away for the most part, other than the last 4 or 5 minutes when it was kind of a foul fest. And I thought we did a better job. Other than that little run there in the first half, like I mentioned, that I referred to, we were much better defensively, and taking away the 3 was part of it.
Greg, you've been around a lot of success the last several years in Madison. If you get some of that consistency, what do you think you have this year with this team?
Well, hopefully we practice better Monday than we played today. That's all I look at, one day at a time, understanding who we can be and what makes us good, and understanding what gets us off track, and try to minimize the times we run off track and what takes us there, and then try to maximize the time we stay locked into who we are and play to our strengths. And I think that we're getting better at that. Like I mentioned before, we played at Creighton about a month ago. We're better than when we played there, and I think that's helped us. I've always said that teams usually grow through adversity and have to go through some rough times, and the Maui trip helped us, Creighton helped us, and hopefully we can continue to get better.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.